And we are now live. The October 24th, 2014 Small Business Accounting Advisors. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Hi.
So, Yvette, did you go to the Michelle Long Advanced Certification for QBO?
Yes, I did.
What was your take on it? I mean, I asked Seth, and he said that, they talked about ratio analysis, and I was just trying to think what would be the difference between the regular exam and the advanced.
Well, yeah, she did talk about the ratio analysis, and I think it's going to be a lot like the QuickBooks Desktop certification, because on just the regular certification, it's just you pick A, B, C, or D. This is you got to actually figure out some of these. But you know what I gathered from both Dawn and because I haven't taken the advanced certification for the desktop yet, and I took Dawn's class, and like she said, just follow the directions, because we as accounting professionals, sometimes we know shorter cuts than like for instance, sometimes we might just go right to the balance sheet as opposed to maybe going to the P&L. And she said, just be whatever it asks you to do exactly that.
Right.
So,
yeah, I found that to be.
Don't do what you know would work a lot better than what they tell you to do.
Faster, whatever.
That's what they say, period.
In order to score a computer exam, you have to be really precise. And I know when I took the advanced 4 or 5 years ago, I was missing this one problem, and then I finally figured out I was not answering it precisely the way. I mean, what I was answering was right, but it wasn't precisely what they wanted, and so it was like a 5-point problem.
Exactly.
Yeah, and that gets tough too, because you have to make sure you get all the pieces 1, 2, and 3 before you get to 4 and 5.
Well, when I took it, I mean, I went through like 3 iterations. The first time I took it was like you just got a score, didn't get any kind of feedback, and then the second time I took it, the next time they released it was like they tell you get 2 out of 4 in this category, so you're kind of second guessing yourself, and then finally the time I passed, they told you which ones you got wrong, so you could kind of hone in on those.
Right, right.
It was just crazy and there was one problem that no one could get right, so they finally dropped it.
Well, when they were originally doing the advanced test, when they would ask you questions, you would have to have your Excel set up exactly the way theirs were.
Right.
Yeah.
There were questions that you had to go out to the 3rd or 4th digit, and if you had it set on 2 digits, you got a different answer by $1 or $2, but it was different.
That's I remember that test was still there, because I remember the one that says 3 digits.
It was a crazy exam. I mean,
Right.
Last time when they changed it, it was nice to know which ones you actually got wrong, so you could focus on those rather than trying to guess which 1 out of 4 you got wrong, And
Right, exactly.
Yeah, some people were saying that it took them over 40 hours to do the test.
Usually I spent
The original advanced test for desktop is very hard.
Yeah.
Well, it was harder at the beginning because you had no feedback, and you're kind of
harder because you didn't know which ones you got right or wrong. You take it again, and the last time you got it right, this time you'd second guess and get it wrong.
What I would do is I would print out my answers, and then it got to the point where you get so confused as to which ones you think are right and which ones. So finally, when they actually told you which ones you got wrong, then I took it. I passed it right away after I figured out. When they gave me feedback, then I was able to figure, oh, this is what I'm doing wrong.
Right, and you have to pay attention to how they word things too.
It was
There's some double negatives in there that you got to pay attention to.
That's right.
Yep, that's what Don was saying.
It was just insane.
If the answer is 0.00, you got to put 0.00. But if that line is not on your report, then leave it blank.
Blank, yeah.
It's like, and you got to do all that. I'm going to be doing that this weekend, these 2 tests.
Are you doing the advanced test this week?
Yeah, I took them both.
Nice, congratulations.
So
the advanced online will not be available to me until December. now because I did not
It may
go.
not be available to us till December. We'll have to check and see. I think they haven't finished it yet.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, but they gave you codes or something?
Are the study materials available?
Yeah, so we'll let you know if we get in or not.
Or
Yep.
just the study materials. I'd be happy with that to get a little bit of jump on, because I want to know what they're talking about ratios.
Fine. Most of it's the same as in the advanced desktop.
Okay.
Or not. I was shocked when Michelle was teaching it, how much she was talking about that was just like desktop.
Yeah.
Well, I
She,
think
he would even say this is just kind of like the desktop. You know, she constantly referred to some of the problems like the desktop.
Yep.
we'll do
Pretty
a
interesting.
whip account.
Go ahead, Dennis. We didn't hear you.
They have like a whip account problem like they did on the advanced desktop.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Work in process.
Mhm.
Wow. Okay. And you can do that online, huh? With no job costing?
I don't know. We'll see.
Nice.
Well, I kind of wonder if they're going to bake in reports that have ratio analysis, because if they're going to spend a whole section on the exam or on QBO for ratio analysis, you would think they might have some reports that they've set up that would do that.
Yeah, one would hope. One would hope. But you know, they always did have that scorecard. I don't know if you've ever looked at that. I've looked at it, but I didn't take it seriously because I always figured, you know what? They're taking their information from QuickBooks, and of all the QuickBooks databases that I know, half of them are so screwed up I wouldn't believe the information anyway. So in the end, I didn't. You know what I mean?
Yep.
How can you compare to other people in your industries when everybody does things so differently?
Yeah, half the data is probably trash. So
That's what I meant.
Yeah, they are putting a lot of money on QBO to just make it better. I'm sure you've heard about there's going to be a new platform. They're changing they're adding in some things to our QBOA dashboard and so forth.
Right.
Mhm.
That's also early
Famous
December.
news, but I haven't seen it. I guess it's going to be, I don't know when it's coming out to us pro advisors, but it's going to happen. And they showed us some of the new features on there.
well,
Nice. Well, I understand they're giving away Bill.com accounts. What
Yeah.
about those
Yep.
people that
We're
are
all gonna
using
have-
Bill.com? Pardon?
We're all going to, us pro advisors, have a free Bill.com account.
when's that going to happen? Do you know?
I thought they said in January.
Oh,
Is
no.
that like I'm paying like $50 a month for mine, and I'm thinking of getting out because I don't really use it. And $50 a month, I'm thinking, no, I don't know if I want to. But if I get a free one, then I could still keep it. and not
Well,
have
from what I was reading, which I have to go back and reread, you have a free QBOA account.
Yes.
They're merging the ProAdvisor Cloud and the regular ProAdvisor together.
Right.
You have the free ProAdvisor online account, and if you want the ProAdvisor desktop, you have to pay the $54.99.
Right.
In
600.
addition to the Pro Advisor program?
No,
Well,
this is the new. This is
I
the
see what
new.
you're saying. I see what you're saying. You'll get the QBOA free.
For free.
Program, you have to pay for the program.
It's kind of
Right.
in their Pro Advisor program. If they're moving everybody to the cloud, they're not charging for the cloud. You would think at some point they're going to start charging for the Cloud Pro Advisor program.
Yeah,
So
but
It's
it's
an emergent.
Yet for the desktop, the software, I need to sell the QuickBooks for Mac to somebody. I watched people at that conference, and an awful lot of people, I think Yvette might have been one of them, had a MacBook Air. And Yvette actually
I
runs,
have a MacBook Pro, which I regret. I have also a MacBook Air, and the MacBook Air to me is better because it's lighter.
yes,
Pro
I
has all the
probably
bells and
get a
whistles.
MacBook Air, and then buy Parallels and Windows. Maybe I'll wait and get Windows 10. I'll make sure I get a MacBook Air I can put Parallels and Windows 10 on, because Windows 10 will come out, I think it's coming out in January or February. I have to make sure that if I get Windows 7 to put on that MacBook, because I want to use QuickBooks for desktop, but I want to do it on the MacBook Air when I'm out, because it seems to be a better computer than the PCs.
Probably is.
Yeah, I love it. You know, I don't know if I told you this before, but I never used to like Apple products until I went to, well, I started liking Apple when I got my phone years ago, the very first iPhone. And then I went to a client's about 4 years ago or 5 years ago, and they have an office for me there to do the bookkeeping. It's a warehouse. And I came in one day, I got back in from vacation, went in there, and my computer was gone, and it was this iMac. And I look at the owner, you know, I tell him, what about my accounting software? What about QuickBooks? How am I going to do the books? I mean, I like really panicked. And he says, relax. I got my IT tech guy, and we got this software called VMware, and you will have the QuickBooks on it. It's already on there. Just go in there. Everything's, and yeah, I loved it. I loved it so much that I came home, I think either that night or the day after, and I ordered my iMac. And now on my computers, I have one Windows computer here, but all of them here are Mac. I love it. And I mean, my main computer has Parallels.
Okay, nice.
Yeah. And
I don't get the Mac way of doing things yet. I do have clients with Mac, so I do get to use Mac. And if you're on QuickBooks Online, it doesn't matter whether you have a Mac or a PC.
Oh, and guess what? Intuit gave me, at their booth, they had one of these. Nice.
So many cakes.
Oh, that's right.
This here is the app for Mac, for QuickBooks Online. So I loaded it onto all my Mac computers, and it takes you, it's a little app, and you click on it. Instead of going through, signing on through their website, it takes you right to it, and all you do is put your password and your name, your username, and your password, and you're set. And there's your dashboard. It looks a little different, but it's really nice.
Nice.
Well, they were saying at the conference that a lot of people seem to have a certain amount of resistance. People that were desktop users had a resistance to the cloud, and I was kind of wondering if you had that perception of the audience. They were talking about that this morning on the Hangout. That some of the
It depends who you were talking to, okay? Because I would sit down sometimes with people, and we'd talk about it, and there were some people that are just strictly QBO, okay? And it seemed to me, and it's not so much like it's an age difference, but there were quite a few too that were resistant. I mean, somebody I think brought up a question about it. You know, like, are you guys really? You know, that question: are you going to get rid of, you know, the QB desktop? You know, and they said no, we're still going to keep it along. But there are people that are resistant because we all know that it doesn't operate like the desktop, but they are working on it. I think they really, because I had one of their engineers approach me and ask me what was it about QBO that I won't recommend to all my clients. What is it specifically? Are there any specifics? And I told them, just sometimes my clients that have a lot of inventory, it doesn't work well. And then even for my clients that have a lot of, like I have a couple clients that have lots of different sales tax for different cities, different counties, and so forth, and the reporting it's not clear. It's like the desktop version. I get wonderful reporting.
Mm-hmm. That's what I've always said. The reporting in QuickBooks Online is not at all as good as the desktop.
Yeah, and I mean they even told me
there's a lot that you can do with it, but it really isn't as easy to use as the desktop.
And they'll tell me, why don't you use Avalara for that? But I make good income out of filing your sales tax for them. So I don't mind doing that. I actually enjoy doing that, So I'm not going to turn it over to, Avalara. I'm sure they're really good, unless, I feel like I don't want to do it. I would turn it over to Avalara. But I make, decent income from that. So, but yeah, there's people, you hear a little resistance from people. But I think eventually it's going to get, I hope it gets.
I think people got so much invested in terms of time, money, and energy on becoming skilled on the desktop, and it's they're afraid of losing that.
Well, there's that too. Hi, Christina. Christina's muted.
There she is.
Hey, everybody. I'm going to stay quick. I don't want to disturb.
One time when I was in the corporate world, I went to a company, and they were in the process of changing accounting systems, and so I had to learn enough for 3 months to function, but not enough to, because they're going to change the first of the year. But all these people that had all this experience with this old system, all of a sudden in January were all equal because, their knowledge went away. It was obsolete. And I think that's
part of the problem. That's the resistance. People get used to doing things in their own way, and they want to continue to do that their own way. Recently, I went to a client that was still using pin feed forms, and that's like those color-coded. The white copy goes to the client, the yellow copy goes to the file, the pink copy goes out to production, and you have another one that's alphabetical. I looked at the box of pin feed paper that she had, and I said, I wonder how much this costs. You could probably buy an entire new laser printer for the price of that paper.
Yeah, is that dot matrix?
It doesn't matter. She knows how that works. She has the system memorized. She could do it with her blindfold on and her hands tied behind her back. I've got a new client now. Got probably a couple hours ago. It's a company. They have charter schools all over Southern California, and they run after-school programs, before school and after-school programs, and they've decided they'd like to put it on QuickBooks. And I was talking to her about the different QuickBooks and that, and who needed to be able to access it and how often. And I said I really recommend Desktop Premier, and probably the nonprofit version for you. But you could buy the accountant version, and then you can toggle into any of the versions, depending on the one you want to use. And then I said loading it on your computer at the office, loading the QuickBooks on your computer at home, and putting the file out on QBox. And that way I said you can't be on it at both places at the same time, but you get that. I said the problem with the online is they're constantly improving it. And some of the changes they make you love, but some of the changes they make you hate.
Right.
You have no choice about that. It's like whatever they do, and you can't go back to an earlier version. It's like you're there with, so whereas the desktop, you get it, you have it for 3 years.
Right.
3 years you have to upgrade. Now granted, they've made changes, some you like, some you don't like, but it's not major things, and you kind of figure you can prepare for it. And so an awful lot of things just automatic pilot.
Yeah, you know what? And the thing that puzzles me sometimes is when I hear how much someone really loves QuickBooks Online, okay? Because there are things that, the desktop, that you can see in the desktop if you filter down, where you couldn't do that on the online version. So, I wonder, it's like, okay, I mean, am I the only one that feels this way? I feel like the desktop version, and it's not just because I've been working with it for so long, but when I try, because I have quite a few clients. I have over a dozen clients on QuickBooks Online,
Right.
And, when I try to find something or hone in on certain reports, just like, how you could, on the desktop, you could click onto a particular part of the report and you get the detail.
Right.
You can't really do that in QuickBooks Online. You can't really see the behind-the-scenes part. Do you guys ever feel that way?
I do, but what helped me was duplicating tabs. So when I'm working online, you know how in Chrome you can duplicate a tab and you can have more than one tab open? So I work with open windows on my tabs as opposed to the desktop. So I'll have the register open as one tab, and then I'm going and doing other things like reconciliations when you have to bounce back and forth between them.
Right.
But you're
Do that-
talking about actually reviewing the reports and drilling down and getting to the root of the information?
Yes. Like sometimes there's problems, and so that allows me to find where it occurred. You know?
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. That is difficult in QuickBooks Online if there's a problem, nailing it down. And it's even worse if you have another application like Bill.com. I had a problem with accounts payable, and I could not find it. I actually had to print out the accounts payable report and cross off the incomes and the expenses.
Right.
Until I got to where there was only one transaction left. And it ended up being some odd thing that sometimes QuickBooks Online puts a transaction, I'll say stuck, that you can't do anything with it. You know, or the other thing about QuickBooks Online that I've seen happen, which like really makes me crazy, if you have the automatic recall preference turned on and you're doing the bank feeds, sometimes if you go in and you say, oh, that's not the right account, I don't want to code it to that account, you change it to the correct account, you save it, and then the next time you open up QuickBooks, it's back to the original one that it came in as. You know, now that's difficult to find.
Yeah.
You know, but
Yeah, that sometimes. But sometimes, you know, when you're working like that, it's difficult. It's just too many windows to go through and all kinds of things. But you know, I know they're perfecting it, and it looks to me like they're trying to make it look somewhat like the desktop somewhere. You know.
Yeah.
Well, Seth was saying this morning that he was talking to someone from Intuit, and they're going to be having inventory in QBO.
Mm-hmm.
oh, I can't wait. I can't wait because I do have a client with inventory in QBO, and I hate it. I hate it. I hate that they have the inventory. I make them give me an inventory valuation at the end of each month so I can make sure that it's correct in QuickBooks. And almost invariably every month I have to make an adjustment.
You know, Tim Grant in San Francisco knows of an add-in to QuickBooks Online, which is great for inventory.
I'm not sure they want to pay that price.
Yeah, I don't know
their
how much it is.
inventory is maybe 25 items, which is not a lot, and
Right.
it shouldn't be difficult to keep.
Right.
So at this point, they'll give me the valuation, how much, and you know that's what they expect their inventory to be, and I'll just make the adjustments, and you know that'll be that.
Mm-hmm.
But it would be nice if it worked better. If you have a simple inventory that you know, all of the items come in at the same time and come into inventory when you receive the, you know, that's simple and that works. But if you have someone that's making partial shipments, or you order 1,000 and they send you 995, or they send you 1,005, you'll get whatever you get. That's a little bit more difficult.
Right.
Yeah. But I have another question, Intuit related.
Sure.
Is the Sync Manager still working in QuickBooks Desktop?
I don't know. It's going to stop, I thought, in December.
Is that when it's supposed to stop?
Well, it's going to stop sometime, they said. I thought in December.
I was getting messages, mine's not working, and I have to
I
cancel.
thought it was supposed to stop next year.
Yeah, see, I'm already getting mine that it stopped working, and I
Really,
personally use the desktop in Bill.com, and that'll be a royal pain for me. I'm not sure I'm ready to move to online yet for my business.
Yeah.
I'm kind of wondering if they're going to go to the subscription model like Enterprise with, say, eventually Pro and
Oh,
Premier
that's
to
right.
kind of shove people off the desktop. That'd be one way of doing it.
That's true. That's true. And I've heard of other people, clients, coming back and having that problem too.
I mean,
And I did not pick up that, because all I can do is call support, which is what they've already done.
Yeah.
that'd be one way of moving people off the desktop if they can't hold on to for 3 years.
Right, right, right.
It wouldn't surprise me in the least if that ends up happening maybe the next year or two.
Well, maybe why they're discontinuing the Sync Manager for desktop.
Could be.
Start a rumor here.
Could be.
I mean, my sync manager I keep having error messages all the time.
Yeah, me too.
And, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but I just assumed I had time.
I don't know. I don't know how long we have time. Maybe this is just previews. They're playing little games and pulling the plug on us for.
Always later than you think.
Yeah, less time than you think.
Yeah, well, I had some problems. I had loaded QuickBooks Premier 2015 on both my desktop and my laptop, and I put my data files out onto ShareFile so that I could get to them because I wanted to do some entries into my QuickBooks data file when I was up there. And oh my God, we had the hardest time. And Woody and another guy named Ralph from tech support worked on it for over an hour to get it to work.
Wow.
Some corruption files I had with old credit cards from 2007 and 8, 9.
And you're still having those problems.
Yeah, they were like, we got that. I fixed that myself by putting an old expired card number of mine in for everybody because I had taken the numbers out. And then when I moved the data file over from the one computer to the other, it turned payroll on. Turned on pro payroll, which I've never done any payroll at all.
Wow.
And I had made it wouldn't open because I had made the payroll expenses and the payroll liabilities inactive. You can't delete them, but they were inactive. So I activated them. And there was another, like a payroll sub .ini file that didn't come in. It took them over an hour of troubleshooting to get my data file, get it working all right on my laptop. So
yeah, that was really nice also as well at the conference is that they had tech support for us. I got a one-on-one mentoring with 3 different mentors. Just great advice. They had so much there for us. It was incredible.
So all we have to do is get our clients on board. And I do see the resistance too. Does anybody have any clients that still uses a handwritten register?
No, that I don't have.
I have one. I don't see that person ever going online. And I think it's more of a perception. They are in the 50-year-old range, and
That's young.
And
50?
I'm 52. I'm 52 years old. I'm not.
And they're of the opinion that anything on the internet can be hacked, and if they put their financials on the internet, anybody can get a hold of it. So I don't see them ever moving.
Well, do they bank? Do they bank online?
No.
Actually, no. And they have their computer set up, the desktop. They have one computer for their their
Got it.
QuickBooks file that is not connected to the internet. If I want to do updates, I have to download it to a CD and take it to them and update their file.
What kind of business do they have?
It's a resale business and makes more money than you could possibly believe.
Huh.
So
Sarah?
the good news for her is when the power goes out, her little pencil will still work.
That's true.
The rest
That's
of us,
true.
when the power goes out, you can't recharge everything. We're out of luck.
And I had that problem this week. There was some kind of accident or something happening out like a block away at the corner of the block, and it actually ripped my cable off the side of my house.
That was the picture of the backhoe and.
Well, it pulled the cable off the side of my house, across my front lawn, across the street, and into my neighbor's yard. So they fixed the accident, the utility pole. They had to replace the pole. They had to rehang everything.
Gosh.
Took down the street lamp because it was dead. They hung everybody else, and my wires still ended up in the neighbor's yard. So I had to call Comcast, and instead of coming back, it took them like a day and a half to get to my place and rehang my cable, reattach it to my house.
Yeah, that's some of the scariest stuff when your whole livelihood is on the internet. And one time I'm on an island, so there's 2 roads that come onto the island, but the main trunk that comes through with Comcast and the electrical and everything and heads out to the beach, there's one.
Right.
And they had an accident, and then around the corner, a woodpecker.
Woodpecker.
Woodpeckers took out a pole.
Oh, my God.
We didn't have internet for
Things are beyond your control.
I got a woodpecker in my
3
backyard
days.
on my tree, on my pine tree.
Yeah, I have little baby woodpeckers that make a lot of racket on the side of the house, and those big woodpeckers that, but 3 days. Now that we're, we can throw stuff on a laptop and, run into town and do it from Starbucks. I mean,
God.
it's not as critical as it used to be, but I put in a generator after that, so if the power goes out, I have power, but if Comcast goes down, I'm so tempted to get DSL as a backup because that's under the ground.
That's your only choice. These things are out of your control. There's nothing you can do about it. I had power. It wasn't even a storm. Like Misha was saying that we've had nor'easter, up and down the East Coast, but it wasn't even that. It was an accident. Somebody took out the utility pole, and I was down. And of course I have my tablet and I have it set up for that 3G, but you just can't do the things on your tablet that you can do on the desktop. The apps don't have as much ability to do what you need to do.
Right.
And don't write anyone a long, complicated right. I mean, even with the swipe, Sarah, I know you do the swipe.
I can do everything on my iPad. Are you?
No.
I don't even like a mouse. I like flying on a keyboard.
On the one hand, you're not going to have your computer crash and lose everything, but on the other hand, if everything's in the cloud, you lose your internet connection and you're just dead in the water.
I don't know. I think that's the most dangerous thing about all this terrorist stuff.
Well, yeah.
One. I don't know.
They're talking about if you explode a nuclear bomb in the atmosphere, you might fry the electrical systems.
Well, the sun could do that. The sun could do that with solar flares. The right intensity and the right direction, we could be, yeah.
Right. They said it could take us all down for years.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, you know what? We know how to use the pencil.
We don't have any clients to use it on. Mine are nonprofits. They're the first ones going out. Yes, I got on a Hangout. I was going to work. I know.
Well, we're certainly glad to have you, Sarah.
Yep.
Yes.
It's nice that everybody's here.
He wants me to mute for a second. See y'all in a minute.
Okay.
All right.
So yeah, I'm not sure. I think, as like I said last week, Dennis, that as accountants we're used to change and always having new and latest and greatest. The clients not so much. They don't want to pay for all the new equipment that you need to get the latest and greatest. And I'm seeing that problem. I'm seeing a lot of people with XP trying to download 2015 and it just isn't working, and you know, they come back, well, my printer isn't printing. Well, what equipment do you have and what version are you downloading?
Right.
I think the thing with the online is going to require a higher level of skill for accountants, because I think the people that are most at risk on this going to the cloud are people that are doing the data entry on QuickBooks Desktop, you know, and that's being replaced, I think, with the online, you know, downloads and the bank fees and all that.
But
And
the
so
bank fees aren't quite there yet. No one quite has it. I would love to see QuickBooks or Xero or somebody partner with a bank and allow the, you know, have the coding, the way that they talk to each other work better.
Yes.
All the banks are different. Some banks, when you download, whenever you download checks, you just get the word check in there. You know, and that makes it hard to know, unless you're looking at the register and see who you wrote it to, or if all you're using is debits, it makes it easy. If you're doing that ACH on the bank or
Right.
whatever, it's easy. But if you still write checks, some of the downloads that come in are difficult.
Well, I haven't had a good old-fashioned write-up client in so many years I can't remember, where you're doing after-the-fact work.
Right.
You know, clients are either doing the work in their software, or I'm doing their work in software.
Right.
So checks are already there. The bills are already there. This whole bank fee doesn't make any sense to me, except for the ones that are heavy into credit cards and.
Isn't the bank fee? Isn't the bank fee kind of-
Even the downloads on QBO doesn't work like the desktop. You know, there's all the times I get a lot of errors from those downloads. You know, when it comes in.
That's why I say I think that the computer programmers need to talk to, they need to partner with the bank, and they need to be on the same page. And when Intuit makes changes, they got to notify the bank, hey, we're updating, you need to update your programming to work better. I would recommend a bank if it partnered with someone.
Yeah.
And I do have clients ask me that. What bank works best with QuickBooks
Yeah, that's a
Online?
good idea.
But isn't the download kind of like after the fact accounting? I mean, you're coding it after it's been posted.
If you're talking about the ACH payment or
Exactly.
debit or, like Sarah said, credit card receipts, yes. A lot of my people are now, I would say, about 50-50. They're about 50% writing checks and 50% doing things online, going to the vendor site, or they have their bank set up for online bill payments. So when they come in, they're easier to code. But like I said, the checks, when the checks come in, all I get is a check number, the word check in the vendor, and the amount. So that's really, unless they've written down in a register somewhere.
You have to match up check number and amount, or it
Right.
can maybe just do that. But all it's doing is, I mean, how long does it take to do a bank rep? Is this me echoing? Who's echoing?
You are echoing a little bit.
Yeah.
Hello.
Better.
Did that help?
Yes, it did.
Oh, you went away. Where'd you guys go? Oh. Maybe I had my speakers on too long. No?
Well, this is interesting. I just got an email from Square, and they're promoting using QuickBooks or Xero, and then they have all of these other products. They have
What's this?
inventory, appointment,
I don't
pickup.
know if I would really trust Square for that. I do have
Where? I wouldn't either, but it's like weird. And
I
then
had a client that used Square for, I had a client that used Square for the restaurant, and I didn't seem to mind it for the reporting. I mean, I could book the sales very well off the Square report.
Well, here's something.
tax jar, sales tax compliance.
I want to ask y'all something.
I think this is going to disrupt everything.
Everybody's echoing.
Yeah,
One person on here that's either too loud or.
Let me turn mine down. Maybe it's me. I'm on my laptop.
Let me right-click and mute.
Sound any different?
a little, yes.
Yeah, that's better. Oh, that's a lot better.
Okay.
I blew up at a. I am.
Sarah, shame
Hi.
on you.
I'm gonna have to send her flowers or something.
Oh no, you need to send her an edible bouquet.
Well, here's the frustration. I have an audit starting on Monday. I have never been this unprepared for an audit in my career. And so I'm frustrated at people not getting me what I need and wouldn't help me the last minute, blah, blah, blah. But I misread an email. I thought this gal had sent a trial balance and general ledger to the auditors, and I'm not done.
Oh,
And I lost it.
right.
But I read it wrong. Anyway, I'm working on the class code allocations, and I'd asked her a question because I have to do all the I have to consolidate 3 sets of books, and anyway, it's real complex. But yeah, the books are done. But I was just nobody looks at the class code reports but me. You're in. So anyway, I misread it and I blew up. But part of that frustration, the reason I reacted so strongly, leads into this QBO idea. I have their data file in a hosted server because they wanted to help with. They wanted to be able to look up vendors and be able to see things that were going on and see what's in their checkbook or whatever. And they wanted to be able to help me put in deposits because that's donor accounting is just very. So. For many, many, many years, 8 years, whoever's been in that position, that's all they do is put in deposits and poke around and get out. Oh, we're echoing again. This lady came into the position knowing QuickBooks. And so it's been a hard time for me. I don't know if it's so much of a control issue, but I've never lost control of my books before. They're my books, and when I post something, I don't expect somebody to come back behind me and edit.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay? I'm having a real problem with this. This whole idea where you share the books.
Oh, yeah.
Staff, my own work, if I know what's in there, I make decisions on where to post things, and I expect it a certain way, and I come in and something's moved, and I look at the audit trail, and we
Are you the admin, Sarah?
huh?
Are you the admin?
Well, I don't let anybody post with admin. Yeah, so I've got audit trail who's doing what.
Okay.
But unless you're reading audit trail every day, I'm not,
Yeah.
So we had a little come to Jesus meeting, and she's to only put in deposits and supposed to notify me if she disagrees with something that I do. I've just never had anybody disagree. But anyway, and I have caught her a couple times editing a deposit from months ago and then re-uploading the documents so they match.
Aren't you close
So
enough
anyway,
to
so today I just when she said that I thought she said I sent a general ledger to the auditors. That's the thing. Their workers' comp audit came in $2,500 to with a bill. And I said, wait a minute. How did your workers' comp policy double? And I wasn't involved with working with the workers' comp auditor. So I said, may I have a copy of the audit? And I start looking at it, and I'm like, there's all kinds of things on there that should never be on a workers' comp audit.
Wow.
You went in, helped yourself to QuickBooks reports, and they wanted all the subs or something. And, I mean, you know, people that have never even set foot on their property were listed, you know. So I need to handle that. But the point is, when we go to QBO, this whole idea that I guess there's a difference between the clients that take over their own work and then we come in and review versus clients that we handle the processing. Can I still control what the client can do and not do?
Right.
Yeah.
What are the permissions in QBO? Or I've heard they're not as robust as they are on the desktop.
And on the desktop sucks.
Yeah.
Worst
The desktop's not that great either.
So I don't know.
Permissions.
Do they have a closing date in QBO?
I have never used it, but I saw what looks to be a closing date.
So do they not have permissions then on QBO? I never even noticed.
Yeah.
Because if you're going to have it on the cloud and the client's going to have a login, maybe depending on the client, I just want them to look around. I don't want them printing.
Supposedly the audit trail is a little more robust in QBO, but I don't think you want to trade that.
Spend all the time looking.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You'd rather have
Nip it in the bud from the beginning.
Yeah.
Stronger permissions.
I know there were a lot of things they said at the conference that I think are just wrong. And the big thing was, we're going to become trusted advisors. And their attitude was, we know that the stuff is going to come in from the bank accurate. Well, we don't know that.
The bank doesn't know anything about accounting.
No, the bank doesn't know whether that was money you put in, which was an investment in the business, or anything. That's
Right.
But they act like, no, we don't have to do
No
that.
input.
Ratios and tell them how they compare to other people in their industry.
Well, if I have a client who is, like I have a guy that does shutters, okay? Same vendors all the time. Invoices look the same. Other than applying to a customer, it is so repetitive. But not all companies are like that. I mean, I need to be able to think.
Right.
Right.
So I have a question on the bank recs in QBO. Is it like QuickBooks where you have the beginning balance and then instead of you having to you're rather than checking them off at the same time, you've been kind of going in periodically and checking them so that when you pick a period, an end date,
It's already checked?
yeah, is that kind of the way?
Probably. That would speed you up.
The online does the reconciliations, when it works well, works very well. It automatically comes up checked, and if you see a 0 down at the bottom, and I've had that happen more often than not these days. When it works well, it works wonderfully.
Well, I have a question.
If it doesn't work well, then it's difficult to try and find what the problem is.
Is it the same time where you have a beginning balance and an ending balance, and you're trying to basically clear the differences to 0, like you do in the desktop?
Same thing, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
If you're letting the banks control when checks are posted, are they not posting when they're clearing, not when written?
Yes.
That's
Okay.
what it looks like.
What is it not important to have outstanding checks because unless you are ultra pure cash basis,
You're right.
when you mail the check is when you get the deduction.
Exactly.
And I need to know how much money's in my bank and how much money's committed.
Well, the only way you're going to get that is Bill.com with QBO.
Okay.
You do truly get that with Bill.com. But as far as QBO, unless you're writing the checks as you're writing them or printing them and sending them out right from QuickBooks, You don't get that. If you're bringing it in with the bank feed, it's when it was cashed.
Right.
So if you wrote it in a month ago and sent it to someone, and they held it for a month, it doesn't go on the books until it's cashed.
Yeah, well, who does accounting like that?
People that don't know anything about accounting.
People who don't know anything about accounting. So what is this big hype?
Were they like unrecorded checks then? I mean, if they're not posted until they're...
No, they're not in the system at all.
They're not there at all.
Clear because they're bringing everything in through the bank downloads.
That's right.
So there's nothing in QuickBooks until it comes in from the bank.
Well, sometimes, like I have clients
Doing it like that, when you get to the reconciliation, because you've downloaded everything, it does reconcile much quicker.
What about the clients? Like I have clients that they print out their checks from QBO, you know?
And I have a question. What about when the bank makes a mistake?
Oh, no, that never happens.
Yeah.
Oh, it does. It happens every 3 to 5 years. I get my... Wait till you read the Avalera newsletter. I wrote an article about that.
Okay. If I have a vanilla bean client and all you're doing is you're just crunching the books so you can get a tax return out at the end of the year, then, yeah, I don't care. As far as timing and normal accounting rules, you just, get that stuff in, get it in the right place, and maybe, tweak it at year end. I could see that being a market,
Sure.
but if you're going to use it for management purposes and have current information that you can really use, the banks don't know that the check was paying an expense or paying an accounts payable.
Absolutely.
So, I don't know. I'm having trouble visualizing what and then this is very interesting, and I don't know who's watching this hangout, but I know I've already upset one person, but
None of your clients.
it's been a week. Yeah, I know, too much coffee. There's an article on their annual meeting this week and how their stock's been downgraded.
Is that Intuit's?
Yeah, and it was very interesting how they reduced their anticipated sales for online and increased desktop.
Really?
Complete opposite of what I was hearing.
Yes.
It seems kind of counterintuitive to what they're doing.
Right. No wonder why they've got a big push onto us accountants.
Mm-hmm.
So
Plus, they have invested bukus of money in buying up some other, so they're, interesting. It didn't make any sense. So if you read the stock, it's a publicly traded company. So.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
We'll have to look at that, Miss Sarah.
Yeah. I started to pass it out and tweet it, and I thought, oh no, that guy will get upset with me.
Yeah, you have to
You don't want to do that.
Everything is changing so fast at this point, and that's what the problem is.
Yeah,
Well, but we got to get used to that.
when I look at the
Might
notes,
change.
It's not me that I'm okay with it. It's the clients. It's the clients that are not.
It's not ready.
I do have to say that I have one client that I really do think moving him off of the desktop and onto QuickBooks Online will help him out.
Well, who's using online? Is Yvette in it?
Yeah, I have about a dozen clients on
Do
it.
you? Okay, so could I don't understand how this accounts thing works, because I know the clients all pay per company file.
Right.
Like right now, if I want to take a file, make a copy, and play in it, I can make as many copies, any files I want. But when you get in online, it's a whole nother ballgame. I would like to, because I don't have payables and receivables and everything, maybe take my personal books with all, because I've got, all my husband's checkbooks and my check, and maybe use that to learn. How would I do that? If I can be a pro advisor for
You a pro advisor?
As a pro advisor, you get your free account, but
one,
ever want to put your business on there, I think
I'd have to pay.
No,
You get your
one file on there.
Right.
I don't know because I got, well,
Personal.
I have,
You have more than one event?
yeah, I do. And it's because originally I have an Intuit Payment Network account.
Yes.
And so what happened was I have certain email address designated to that. So because for some reason, because I had a certain email address to that, I got an online account with it. Okay.
Oh.
So when
It's like two different people.
my ProAdvisor account has a different email address, and I had to call them because it kind of messed some things up on my payment networks thing, and so they told me that I definitely have to keep them separate. So because of that, I have two accounts.
Got it.
Okay, I may have two accounts then too.
So those
I
days,
probably do. I have the same email problem that you have, Yvette. My ProAdvisor logon is different than my online accountant logon.
their computer thinks you're two different accountants.
Kind of, but you know what? When I go into my dashboard,
Yeah.
you sign on to QBOA,
Yeah.
then you see like YMS bookkeeping services, and then above there's two YMS bookkeeping services, and then also another account too because one of my clients somehow, anyways, that's what shows, and then I pick the right one, which is usually the bottom one, and then it brings out my dashboard with all my clients.
So that's the way it's supposed to be, Sarah. You get a QBO online accountant edition,
Right.
set up for that,
Lord.
and you can put your files as the main company file, but you will see when you open it up, your clients will be listed under that also.
Okay, so those days of me setting up QuickBooks for me and my husband and my company and his company, those days are gone.
Yes.
Back in the day.
You never know.
Let's talk about QBox because that's really all I need.
And you know now with their big push online, there might be a way around that.
Oh, I hope so. I hope they do because that would be a big reason why certain clients of mine would not go to QBO because they have 4 or 5 companies.
Right. I've got a guy with I don't know how many LLCs. Am I going to pay for every single LLC?
Right.
I don't know why they can't give you a discount after.
That's another reason not to do the online.
But if they would start giving discounts for multiple companies, I think the adoption would be a lot quicker.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and I think too the quicker that we can embrace it. I mean, because it's inevitable. I saw it at the convention, and I've been seeing it for a while. We really have to get ready.
Yeah, but I don't have to go now.
No.
I don't have to go now, but I was thinking about maybe, doing something simple like my personal so that I'm at least learning how to get in and out. And
I would suggest, are you a pro advisor, Sarah?
what?
Are you a pro advisor?
Yeah.
Certified? Yeah.
Then you get it for free.
Just create a dummy file, Sarah.
Or just use a sample
I'm
file.
not going to learn it unless I'm in it, unless I'm really... And then if it were my personal, I'm not going to learn payables, receivables, and all
What I
that.
did one time was I imported one of the sample files from the desktop up into QBO to use as a play file.
But doesn't that take up your one free?
But they have sample files in the QBO file that you
Now
can play.
in the QBOA have sample files for you to play with.
Oh, okay.
So you can do certain things.
Well,
There is no copying and taking it, like if you want to take your customer's file and take it away and play with it and then, restore it.
record it and all that.
Well, I
Not
think
the desktop.
if you really want to anticipate the future, you would become an expert on QuickBooks to QBO conversions,
I got
Doing that though, I would just start brand new.
Once
Start the old, and give me the trial balance. We'll start at the beginning of the year, put in the open accounts receivable,
That's
open
what TBX is
payable,
like.
and move on.
Yeah.
So my little utility, I would sell one, every once in a while, and yeah, I'd take the girls to lunch. And all of a sudden, I'm like, ding, sold another one, ding. I got a CPA firm this morning, and he said that he was in the middle of a NetSuite conversion, and he said, oh my God, it took 30 seconds. I thought it was going to take all weekend.
Wow.
Wow.
And he goes, I'm telling the consultant about this and expect a call. And so I'm like, yeah.
Maybe market it that way.
Well, I contacted NetSuite a year ago, and actually 2 years ago, and but sales guys are different than the ones that really are helping with the migration.
Right.
And I'm not talking to the right people because they're like, oh, if I found a need for it. But I know, like, some of them will say, like, I hooked up with this mortgage company software, and they say they import your history. Well, yeah, if you can get the history in Excel the way they need it. It's the people cobbling by hand all these net changes per month, and then those guys will help you get your history in. So once they found out that my product, they can click a button and then send them a comma delimited file. They don't sell one without calling me and sending somebody to buy one of mine. So
Nice.
But this accounting job just my day job gets in the way.
Well, I want to say QBox is coming in 2 weeks. We will have a hangout with Chris.
Good. I think I'll sign up then.
And Chris wanted to go to QuickBooks Connect. From what I understand,
They told him no. They told him not to waste your time.
I don't understand that.
Oh, I do. We
Are you kidding? He's cutting into their business.
No, that's not why.
No.
That's not why.
Why?
His product only works with desktop. And
Right.
the person selling, well, I shouldn't say this anymore. The person actually
We won't tell anybody.
selling the advertising and the booths and all that went, man, this is, don't waste your money. Because the whole push and focus would be on online.
Yeah. I mean, why would you?
Well, yes.
Plus, they don't want him there because, I pulled everybody off the hosted site. It's more of a reason to stay on desktop longer.
Yep.
So, but
Counter to its efforts.
Cloud9 and NSYNC aren't really happy.
Oh, I'm sure they're not.
Kind of wondering about
They
those
stand to
guys.
lose the most.
That's what I was wondering about those guys. If you go to the cloud, I mean, why do you need them? If you're going to be de-emphasizing the desktop.
And Cloud9, what's the owner at Cloud9?
Robert?
Chandler.
He was there. He was at the QV Connect. I saw him.
They're great services.
And QBox wasn't.
No.
Hmm.
And
Well,
I did look at data. I
I
think
can get QBox for a bunch of my clients, that's for sure.
oh man, I keep saying if I can just survive next week. If I just survive next week,
You will. Just
I'm gonna get into all
next
these
week.
things I want to do and play with, and
That's right.
I think you'll do good with that QBO, Sarah. You're really sharp.
I've already set up a bunch of them. I'm a reseller. He's funny. If you're a reseller, we have staff meetings.
Wow. Wow.
We have a meeting next Thursday. So that's nice. That's nice. So anyway.
Alrighty. Well, we are over our time.
5 minutes.
I
have
know
to
it
get
went
back to
fast.
work.
Yeah, I gotta go. I gotta take my daughter to her job. So. See you
Oh,
next.
congratulations, Dennis. That's always fun.
Well, she drives, but she doesn't get off till like 10, and so I don't let her drive after.
Go at night, yeah. That's a nice daddy.
No.
Yeah, that's important.
Protect your kids. So. See you next week.
Okay, Dennis.
All right.
Have a great
I have to
weekend,
start
everyone.
goofing off with my
Yeah,
friends.
hopefully next year everybody will go to the QV Connect.
No, maybe we'll all go to Sleater next year.
Yes.
If they put them back to back, maybe maybe I can
One and then the other?
Well, do QB Connect, Vacation, and then Sleater. I don't know if I can be gone that long, but only if I can move this audit.
I do want to go to Sleater. I saw Doug. He's such a nice person.
I'm doing Sleater next year. I can't believe that hotel. Yvette and I split the hotel room.
Yeah,
Paid
they were busing people.
$70.
They were
Wow.
busing people out to cheaper hotels.
Like
Does anybody know where Sleater's going to be next year?
No, I think we got to get over Sleater this year first.
Okay.
But you know what? I did like staying where we stayed because it was so convenient going back to the room.
Right.
I really wanted to because my feet were hurting. There was so much walking.
Mhm.
It was wild. I couldn't even make it to the party. I was so tired that night.
Aw.
I told you.
Hey guys, sorry, I have to run.
Wipe you out.
Yeah, it did.
Alicia.
I'll talk to you guys later. Have a great weekend.
All right,
Bye, everybody.
Thanks for that training.
Okay, I'm gonna close the broadcast. We don't have to go if you don't want to, but we're gonna close the broadcast and we will see everyone next week.
Yeah, next week.